Well, it's now time for a look at what the newspapers around the world are reporting this Friday. Our press reviewer, Nicholas Rushworth, is here in the studio. Hello to you, Nicholas.
Good morning to you, Rebecca.
So, nearly 2 weeks now after his death, Osama Bin Laden is still topping the news agenda in many newspapers.
He is indeed, and the reports are coming through of the contents of his private journal. US intelligence got hold of that in their raid 2 weeks ago. One of the papers covering the story is the UK's Daily Mail. It has the headline, "Don't bother killing Joe Biden. He's not important enough to assassinate." The obvious fact there that Barack Obama was the #1 target. And also another paper, Sydney Morning Herald, reporting that one of the targets would have been Barack Obama territory, Chicago. Also in the lineup for attacks in the US, Los Angeles and Washington. The headline there for the Sydney Morning Herald, "Murder in Mind."
So it's a fascinating insight into what Al-Qaeda were planning.
Well, that paper reports that in one passage of the journal, bin Laden wonders how many Americans would have to die to get the Americans out of the Arab world, and he concludes it would only have to be another mass murder on a 9/11 scale.
Oh, it makes for dark reading.
Along my travels through the press this morning, I saw a cartoon in USA Today. I didn't quite know what to make of it, but I thought I'd run it by you. It's an image of bin Laden watching himself, except the cartoonist has a gun appearing at Osama Bin Laden's head, and Bin Laden is wondering what's going on. Hey, wait a minute, as he is about to be shot.
Streamed in real time.
More seriously, an editorial in the Washington Post says, "Now that bin Laden is dead, let's end his grip on us." The editorial writer there, Eugene Robinson, argues the killing changes everything. He quotes Winston Churchill, "This is not the end, even the beginning of the end, but it is the end of the beginning." He argues that bin Laden's death is nothing short of a liberation. He held 300 million Americans prisoner. The Guardian, meanwhile, in the UK, looks at Amnesty International's annual report, more broadly about the Arab Spring that's underway. It's on a knife edge, according to Amnesty. While repressive governments have faced the possibility that their days are numbered, regimes are fighting back. And it says that the international community must ensure that 2011 is not a false dawn for human rights.
The Guardian setting itself up as a liberating force there. Now, one country that's in the midst of ongoing tumult is, of course, Yemen. Demonstrations continue as protesters wrangle with the regime of Ali Abdullah Saleh, and more expected this Friday, in fact, after Friday prayers. So how is the press
Well, Le Monde
covering
had an
that?
interesting piece looking at a group of farmers in the Yahassin district, 200 kilometres south of the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. And it says they are pioneering the revolution in the country. They're angry at a local strongman who is a favourite of President Saleh, and hundreds of them are involved in protests. Some are camped out.
The kind of grassroots
Yes.
movement.
In contrast to that, back to The Guardian. The Guardian had a piece by Wassim Al-Ghayashi, who is a member of the People's Youth Revolution Committee in Yemen, and he's arguing, maybe not the farmers, but the youth of Yemen will decide what's the future of Yemen. With or without international support, he says the determination to succeed in the revolution is fueled by seeing the revolutions in Egypt and in Tunisia.
Let's now come back to Europe, and just briefly, Nicholas, the Queen of England is making headline news in Ireland. Is she going down there? She's going to be making a visit this week, isn't she?
Highly controversial. Not this week, but next Tuesday. She goes to Ireland, and the Irish Times reporting that there's a major riot squad presence in anticipation of protests. And a letter page person, John Maher of Rathdowney, says, well, the anti-visit protests on the streets might ask who decimated the Republic of Ireland, the British monarch or the Irish elite. So lots of criticism there for the people ruling Ireland at the moment. It's feared one flashpoint for protests could be the English market in Cork next Friday, and the Irish Independent has a look at that, but not from the security angle. It takes a culinary angle. Look at that. It leads on tasty treats for Her Majesty, and the choice will be black pudding or pig's trotters. The local version of black pudding is called drisheen.
She's very polite, so she might try it, but I can't imagine the Queen liking pig's trotters. Many thanks for all of that. The international news headlines there with Nicholas Rushworth, our press reviewer.